morning, everybody. Well, welcome back. I am Lefty. You are at Second Chance Recovery Vlog, and one of the things that we do here is we do a weekly recovery video. You know, I pick all kinds of different topics. We cover all different kinds of topics, and really usually what we do is we try to combine our experiences, my experiences in active addiction, and then also combine my experiences and everything else that I've learned, my understanding, my wisdom, my knowledge, everything in recovery, and I try to combine them. So what we do is we kind of live through a little bit of the hard times, and then I'll leave you with some ways and means through conversation on how you could try to succeed in recovery. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how when everything goes wrong in recovery, and that might happen to you or other people, and you guys listen, recovery isn't just recovery from drugs or alcohol. It's recovery from PTSD, CPTSD, depression, anxiety, hard times. Maybe you went through an illness, maybe you had a bad relationship, you got abused, neglected, you had cancer. Everybody is in recovery from something, obviously varying degrees. Some people have been through a lot, so therefore they share what they've learned and they share their experiences. Some people have been through little, so maybe they don't share as much. Maybe they listen and try to gain knowledge from the mistakes or the hardship that they went through. And so I think the more people go through, and if you come out on the other side and you get through those emotional, addiction, sickness, illness challenges, right? You have a lot to share with people, and people really need to hear what you have to say because they want to know how you got to where you are today. So I want to talk to you about doing everything we can to stay sober, because life just beats you up sometimes. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe your relationship is falling apart. Maybe you're struggling financially. Maybe somebody you care about is really, really sick. Maybe you're sick. Maybe you're lonely. Or maybe it's not even one big thing, but it's 10 little things that seem to be happening all at the same time. And eventually we start to think, well, I'm sober, so I'm trying to do the right thing. So why is everything still going so wrong? And that's kind of what I want to touch on today. And the main message that I want you guys to get here is something we have to definitely understand about recovery is that getting sober doesn't give us immunity from hardships, from life, from ups, downs, slips, trips, right? Bad things are still going to happen in our life. Just because we're in recovery doesn't mean that we're immune. People are still going to disappoint us. We're going to disappoint them. We're still going to make mistakes. We're still going to have bills that we don't know how we're going to pay. We're going to have arguments. We're going to have days when we wake up and don't know how to deal with any of it, right? Have you had that lately? Recovery doesn't mean life stops being difficult. Honestly, that's probably one of the main takeaways, if any, that we could take away from the videos that I make here, is that no matter what, things are still going to be difficult, right? There's a huge difference in how we respond when life gets difficult. So don't mistake pain for failure. That's one of the things that we've talked a lot about on this channel. Do not mistake pain for failure, okay? One thing I really want you to understand is when we are doing recovery right and we're still going through a terrible time, those two things can still exist at the same time, okay? I like to think sometimes that we start believing that if we're sober and doing what we're supposed to do, life should reward us, right? And then something terrible happens and we think, well, what's the point of that? Being in pain doesn't mean your recovery isn't working. Sometimes you just going through something painful, that's life. That's going to get you closer to where you need to be. But the question isn't whether bad things are going to happen, because they are. It's what are you going to do when they do, right? Don't turn one problem into a bunch. This is something I wish more people thought about when we're struggling with this idea. Don't turn one problem into 5 problems. Let's say you lose your job, okay? That's a real problem. That's a big problem. You're scared. You don't know where you're going to go or how you're going to pay your bills. And your mind says, screw it, let's get drunk. And you're like, okay, tomorrow morning, are you employed again? No. Is the original problem still there? Yes, except now you maybe spent way more money than you could afford to spend. Maybe you said something stupid. Maybe you damaged a relationship. Maybe you drove when you shouldn't have. Maybe you woke up ashamed and guilty. Maybe you're dealing with cravings again now because of that. You had one problem, you lost your job, but now you have 5, right? Drinking doesn't solve the problem. It makes the problem worse. Make your world smaller. When everything is going wrong, we tend to mentally pile everything together, and it starts to grow and grow and grow. We start thinking about tomorrow, next month, money, work, relationships, where are we going to live, what everybody thinks about us, what happens if this happens, future tripping, right? What happens if that happens? And pretty soon you're trying to solve your entire life at 2 o'clock in the morning. Don't do that to yourself. Ask yourself, what actually needs to be done today for me to be successful? Not next year, not next month, but today. Maybe you need to make a phone call. Maybe you need to fill out just one application. Start simple. Maybe you need to make amends with somebody. Maybe you need to eat something. Take a shower. Maybe you need to get some sleep. I talk about these things all the time because they're important. They help you. They rejuvenate you. And maybe the only thing you need to accomplish today is just staying sober. If all the rest doesn't happen, at least staying sober was enough for you today. Watch your isolation. A lot of us like to isolate, so when things are going wrong, pay attention to whether you're disappearing and whether you're starting to withdraw. You stop answering your phone, you stop going places. You don't want anybody asking how you're doing because you don't want to talk about it, right? Before long, you're alone with your own thoughts, and that's a bad place to be. That's a dangerous territory for any of us who are in recovery. You don't have to tell 20 people what's happening, but somebody should know. One person, someone you trust. Who's your 2 a.m. person? Someone you call and say, hey, I'm having a really bad day and I don't trust where my head is going. That's not weakness, my friends. That's recognizing a problem before it gets bigger. And don't start to make huge decisions in emotional moments. Like my sister says, you gotta wait 24 hours before you make a decision or post or respond. If you have to take a day, that's okay. When you're angry, scared, and overwhelmed, be careful about making permanent decisions. You don't have to quit your job tonight. You don't have to end a relationship tonight. You don't have to decide your entire future tonight or today. And you definitely don't have to throw away your recovery tonight over something small or something big. Give yourself some time. Sleep on it. Talk to somebody. Get your emotions down from a 10 to a 5. And then maybe you start to see things a little differently, right? Because we're allowed to struggle. And something else that I wanted to mention is because I think recovery sometimes gets presented like we're supposed to walk around and be grateful and positive every second of every day. We're supposed to be this all-encompassing positive person. No, that's not how it works. You're allowed to have a terrible day. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be scared. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to say, well, this sucks, right? You're allowed to admit that when you're struggling, sometimes being sober doesn't mean pretending as everything is okay. It means that learning everything doesn't have to be okay for you to stay sober. That's what recovery is. That's the epitome of recovery. Sometimes staying sober is the win, right? There are going to be days when you don't accomplish anything impressive. You don't have to have some huge breakthrough. You don't need to fix your finances in one day. You don't need to repair every relationship in one day, and you suddenly don't need to figure out what you're supposed to do with your life. You just don't drink. You just don't use. And maybe going to bed thinking you didn't accomplish anything, well, I can guarantee you did, because there's probably going to be a time in your life when a day like that would have sent you straight back to the substance or the drugs. But this time it didn't. That, my friends, is progress, right? This hits home for me, you guys. It might not look impressive from the outside, but it is. Staying sober is very important. But people who have been through addiction know exactly how big of a win that really is. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, everything seems to be going wrong right now, I'm not going to tell you everything is going to be okay magically. It's not. I don't know that. Maybe it will be. But what I can tell you is this. You don't have to make it worse. Don't try to solve the next 5 years today. Deal with today. Handle with what you can handle. Sober. Ask for help with what you can't do yourself. Let yourself be angry if you're angry. Let yourself be disappointed. Let yourself have a bad day. But don't give today's problems power to take away everything that you've worked for, your sobriety. Because what you're going through today isn't going to be fixed by using. Sometimes the strongest thing you can say at the end of a terrible day is, everything went wrong today, but I stayed sober. And that's important, you guys. Thank you guys for being here today. That's our weekly recovery video. Real simple, real quick, I noticed that a lot of the videos that I've been doing lately have gotten to be, 12, 13, 14 minutes. And I know that's a long time to keep your guys' attention. And I know only a few people listen to these messages, but I still want to get them out anyways because I think they're important. And don't beat yourself up. I've been there, I've done that. I've had days where I just really, really beat myself up. And that doesn't help anything. You know what I mean? Even if we're really going through something and having a hard time, what good is it to beat ourselves up, right? And if you're having bad days, don't give up. Don't allow yourself to go back to the space where you were when you started drinking and drugging again, because that's not going to solve anything for us, okay? So yeah, rode in the rain a little bit this morning. I'm home now. I'm going to pack my bag and see if I can get out to the Peach Farm where I'm going to be staying tonight in a yurt. I'll be bringing the GoPro with me. I have all my batteries charged, and I'm looking forward to that. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Be well out there. Lefty out.